Well, it's all a big double-barreled truth bomb this weekend. Now, I'm going to get to the astounding revelations about what can only be called an attempted coup against the first Trump administration in a moment. But while we are on the subject of cover-ups, what is going on with all the former Biden administration officials who are taking the Fifth Amendment? That is to say, refusing to answer questions on the grounds of self-incrimination when asked about whether there was a cover-up over Joe Biden's mental competence and the ability of him to do the job when he was president. Now, just days after Joe Biden's doctor, Kevin O'Connor, as well as Anthony Bernal, an aide to Jill Biden, who was so close to the First Lady he was referred to as her work husband, refused to answer questions on the matter. Well, have a look at this.
Ms. Tomasini, did Joe Biden, a member of his family, or anyone at the White House ever instruct you to lie regarding his health at any time, including but not limited to in your testimony to Congress today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
And indeed, Tomasini refused to answer every single question that was put to her by the powerful House Oversight Committee, which is investigating the rolling scandal of the Biden presidency, including ones about whether she or anyone else was instructed to destroy classified information, as well as if she was told to lie about the Biden family's shady business dealings. But as bad as all this is, that's nothing compared to the revelations made by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who has just dropped more than 100 pages of documents proving not only that the Russiagate conspiracy, the whole idea that Russia hacked the election and that Donald Trump was some sort of agent of Moscow, that theory was false. The idea that all of that was false, but that also this idea and the intelligence agencies that investigated it were deliberately weaponized by Barack Obama and his White House to undermine Donald Trump's first administration after he defeated Hillary Clinton, but before he took office. Now, these documents dropped by Tulsi Gabbard are shocking. They prove that intelligence agencies had, as they were supposed to, look into the whole question of Russian collusion, both before and after Hillary Clinton's defeat. And guess what? They found nothing. And they actually went so far in their investigations. This is how seriously they were pushed to try and get Trump by the administration. They wiretapped Trump Tower, i.e. the residence and place of business of a mainstream presidential candidate, which is extraordinary in a democracy such as America, extraordinary in and of itself. And guess what? They found nothing. And they reported back to the White House, the Obama White House, that they found nothing. Here's the key document on your screen. The intelligence assessment that says, we assess that foreign adversaries, i.e. Russia, did not use cyber attacks on election infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome this year. But these findings, they were suppressed by FBI Director James Comey, and Barack Obama instead tasked his intelligence agencies with redoing the intelligence reports to come up with a conspiracy that was then leaked to the media to undermine Trump before he even took office. And this, of course, would lead to failed impeachment proceedings and the infamous Mueller report, thus escalating this to the level, and again, I don't use this term lightly, but an attempted bureaucratic coup. Not an overthrow of the elected president with tanks and soldiers, but with intelligence agencies, legislators, and of course, compliant members of the press. Here's a little bit of Tulsi Gabbard explaining more about what all this scandal was about.
The December 9th meeting, we declassified and released what they call the summary of conclusions from that meeting. Then DNI James Clapper took the lead on what President Obama wanted done, and which was essentially create a document that tells us not if, but how Russia interfered with the election. President Obama delivered the conclusion that he wanted the intelligence community to reach and directed them to find and essentially create and manufacture the intelligence to support the conclusion that President Obama wanted to deliver to the American people.
And Gabbard would go even further, accusing those involved with the plot of treason. Yes, treason. Now, Democrats are circling the wagons, as are news outlets like the New York Times, telling us that there's nothing new here, nothing to see. But trust me when I say there are a lot more truth bombs waiting to explode here.